Hello and welcome to my walkthrough of the Pearson Edexcel GCSE June 2023 Maths Paper 3 Calculator Paper Foundation Tier. Let's jump straight in. Question number 1. Write the number 3107 in figures. So we need 3107, so 3107. Question 2. Write 3 over 10 as a percentage. 3 over 10 is the same as 30 over 100, which would be 30%. Question 3. Simplify m plus m plus m plus m. That would be 4 lots of m. Question 4. Change 4,000 grams into kilograms. Well, we know that 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram, therefore 4,000 grams will be 4 kilograms. And question 5, write these numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest, so we want the biggest negative number first, so that would be minus 5. Any more negative numbers? Minus 2. Then the smallest positive number would be 3, then 7, then 9. Question number 6. The diagram shows a shape on a centimetre grid. Find the area of the shape. So we can just do that by counting up the squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 centimetres squared would be the area. And part B, find the perimeter of the shape. We can do that by just counting the lengths of the outside. So we have 3 here, 2, 1 here, very not straight line there, 4 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, and 2 here, and we just need to add all those up. So that's going to be 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 6, and that gives us 18 centimetres. Question number 7. Here is a 4-sided spinner. Samina spins the spinner once. Choose the word that best describes a probability that the spinner lands on 2. That would be 2 possibilities out of the 4 total possibilities, which is a half, which we would describe as evens. And part B, choose the word that best describes the probability that the spinner lands on a number less than 4. Well, all the numbers are less than 4, so it is going to be certain. And part C, Ralph rolls a biased dice once. The probability that he gets the number 5 is 0.4. Work out the probability that he does not get the number 5 would be 1 minus 0.4, which would be 0.6. Question 8. A quadrilateral has 4 right angles and 4 sides of equal length. Write down the mathematical name of this quadrilateral. So 4 sides of equal length, 4 right angles. It's going to be a square. Part B. The diagram shows a solid shape. Write down the mathematical name of this shape. This would be a cuboid, 3-dimensional rectangle. On to question 9. The table shows the number of books read by 4 people in 1 month. Work out the median number of books. So that will be the middle number once we've listed them in order of size. So we're going to say 1, 5, 7, 9. The middle, or the median, falls between the 5 and the 7. So what we're going to do is 5 plus 7 divided by 2 to find the middle of 5 and 7. It's just going to be 6. Part B, find the range. That is going to be the highest number minus the lowest number. So 9 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. That's going to be 8. Part C, on the grid, draw a bar chart to show the information in the table. Okay, so we'll start by labeling it up. So number of books on the y-axis. Number of books. And we need to go up to 9, as we know that's the highest number. And then we're going to label person on the bottom. And we've got Zamina, Martha, Kezia, and Tabby. So I'm going to say Zamina, Martha, Kezia, and Tabby, making sure that the gaps between them are consistent. Then you'll use a ruler in the exam to draw your bar chart, but I don't have a ruler here on this iPad, so I'm going to do my best freehand. So she goes up to 7. Oh, that's already a very wobbly line. Martha goes to 9. And then we have Kezia going to 1 and Tabby going to 5. Just like that. Question 10. Wayne begins walking at 8:30 a.m. He walks for 1 hour and 45 minutes. He then rests for 15. He then walks for 85 to a cafe. Does Wayne get to the cafe before 12 noon? You must show how you get to your answer. So, you'll start at 8:30. Then 1 hour 45 will take him through to 9:30 and then 10:15. And then we'll put rest. And we'll say he rests for 15 minutes to 10:30. He then walks for 85 minutes to the cafe. 85 minutes, which would take him through to 11:30 plus 25 more minutes, so 11:55. Does Wayne get to the cafe before 12 noon? Yes, he gets to the cafe at 11:55, 5 minutes early. Question number 11. Gabriel thinks of a number. He multiplies its number by 5 and then adds 7. His answer is 72. What number did Gabriel think of? So we're going to say x times 5 plus 7 equals 72. Therefore, x times 5 equals 65 if we take 7 off both sides. So x equals 65 over 5. So his number that he thinks of is 13. All we've done there is reversed the actions that Gabriel did. Question 12. Some students took a guitar exam. The pie chart shows information about the grades the students got. Write down the modal grade. So the modal grade will be the most common grade, which will be the one in the biggest section of the pie chart, which will be merit. 7 students got distinction. Work out the total number of students who took the guitar exam. So we have 105 degrees corresponds to 7 people. Corresponds to 7 people. So 360 degrees corresponds to all the people. Therefore, 360 degrees divided by 105 equals all the people divided by 7. Therefore, all the people equals 7 times 360 over 105. And I'm going to do that on my calculator. So 7 times 360 divided by 105 gives 24. Question 13. Rowena drove from her home to a beach. Here is a travel graph for her journey. Rowena stopped at a cafe on her way to the beach. How many minutes did Rowena take to drive to the cafe? So where the travel graph stops will be when she stopped at the cafe. So how many minutes did she take to drive to the cafe, which is just going to be here. And as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares per hour, so 15 minutes per square. So that will be 12:30, so it took her 30 minutes to drive to the cafe. Part 2. Write down the distance from Rowena's home to the cafe. All we need to do there is go along the graph and look at the distance. That will be 10 miles. Part B. Rowena stayed at the beach for 1.5 hours. She then drove home without stopping and arrived home at 4. On the grid, complete the travel graph. So 1.5 hours she was at the beach with, and then she drove home without stopping. So I said it was 15 minutes per square, so we're going to need to do 6 squares of her not moving for 90 minutes, for an hour and a half. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That takes us to 3 o'clock. And then they said she's driven home without stopping, so we're going to say that is one straight line, as best we can do, to 4 o'clock when she got home. And part C, work out the average speed for the journey from the beach to her home. Well, it took her from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, so 1 hour to do 35 miles, which is going to be 35 miles per hour. And I will just write 1 hour for 35 miles. Question 14. 120 boxes cost £6. 270 bags cost £10. A bag is cheaper than a box. How much cheaper? Give your answer in pence, correct to 1 decimal place. So 120 boxes, £6. Therefore, 1 box equals £6 divided by 120. Do that on my calculator. 6 divided by 120 is 0.05 pounds, which is 5p. 270 bags are £10. Therefore, 1 bag equals £10 divided by 270. I'll do that on my calculator. And we get 0.037 pounds, which is going to be 3.7p. And the question wants us to do it how much cheaper? So we're going to do 5p minus 3.7p equals 1.3p to 1 decimal place is correct. Question 15. There are only red beads and green beads in a bag. The number of red beads compared to the number of green beads is 1 to 4 ratioed. There are 35 red beads in the bag. Work out the total number of beads in the bag. So since the ratio is 1 to 4, we're going to write, therefore, 1/5 is red beads, 4/5 green beads. As for the ratio, you just have to do the two numbers added together on the denominator of the fraction, and then you'll have how much of the bag that they are made up of. So there are 35 red beads, so 35 red equals 1/5 of the total. Therefore, total equals 35 times 5, which I'll do on my calculator, is 175 beads. Question 16. Describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. Well, it looks to me like this shape has been rotated this way, which would be clockwise. And if we look at the points, point 2, 2 has gone to 2 minus 2. 4, 2 has gone to minus 4, 2. So we can see the distance from the origin for these points is the same, which means the center of the graph will be the rotation point. So we're going to say a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise, that's important, through 0, 0. Question 17. The diagram shows the position of town T. Town R is 55 kilometers from town T on a bearing of 65 degrees. Mark the position of town R with a cross. use a scale of 1 centimeters to 10 kilometers. So, as I've mentioned before, I do not have a protractor and a ruler as I'm doing this on an iPad and my scale is completely different. So I will show you what you need to do with yours. So we basically want this to show a 65-degree angle from north, and then we want to have the distance from T, and I'm going to write it over here. We want it's 55 kilometers, and they've told us 1 centimeter equals 10 kilometers. I'm just going to double check that that's what it says. 55 kilometers, 1 centimeter, 10 kilometers. Therefore, you need to do 5.5 centimeters from point T at an angle of 65 degrees. So it's going to look something like this, where that angle there is 65 degrees, and that length of line is 5.5 centimeters. But you won't need to label it in the exam. Question 18. Solve 4 lots of 2x minus 3 equals 20. So that's going to be 8x minus 12 equals 20, just by multiplying the 2x and then the minus 3 by 4, which is going to be 8x equals 32, just by adding the 12 to each side of the equation. Therefore, x is 32 over 8. Therefore, x is 4. On to question 19. Jenny invests £3,000 for 6 years at Y% simple interest per year. At the end of the 6 years, Jenny has received a total of £450 in interest. Work out the value of Y. So since this is simple interest, we know £450 over 6 years. Just put that in my calculator. 450 divided by 6 is £75 interest per year. So to work out the percentage, we need to do 75 divided by the original investment equals percentage. Therefore, equals 75 divided by 3,000. I will do that on my calculator. 0.025. So 0.025 is going to be 2.5% once we've times the figure by 100 to get it into percent form. And that's going to be our answer, 2.5%. Question 20. Simplify m squared to the power 3. All we need to do for that is m 2 times 3, which is m to the 6. Then x to the 5 times x to the 8 is going to be the same as x to the 5 plus 8, which is just x to the 13. And part C, expand 4p lots of p squared plus 3p is going to be 4p cubed, just by multiplying these two, plus 12p squared, multiplying these two. And that's our answer. Question 21. Johnny wants to know how much coffee he will need for 800 people at a meeting. Each person who drinks coffee will drink 2 cups. 10.6 grams of coffee is needed for each cup of coffee. Johnny assumes 68% of the people will drink coffee. Using this assumption, work out the amount of coffee Johnny needs. Give your answer correct to the nearest gram. That's 4 marks. Okay. So 800 people times 2 cups is 1,600. Each cup, 10.6 grams. Therefore, if everyone drinks 1,600 times 10.6, which I'm going to do on my calculator, 1,600 times 10.6 is 16960 grams. But we assume 68%. Therefore, again doing this on my calculator, 0.68 times 16960 is going to give us 11532.8. And the question says, give your answer correct to the nearest gram, which is going to be 11533. Johnny's assumption is wrong. 72% of the people will drink coffee. How does this affect your answer to part A? Well, we have underestimated. Johnny will need more coffee. And since it's only a 1-mark question, we don't need to do any calculation here. To make you feel more comfortable, you can. It would be the same as part A, just instead of 0.68 times 1960, we would do 0.72 times 16960. Question 22. ACF and ADG are straight lines. BCD and EFG are parallel lines. Show that ACD is isosceles. Give a reason for each stage of your working. So what we're going to start by saying is, a little bit higher up, ADC is 70 degrees. ADC equals 70 degrees as angles on straight line add to 180 degrees. Next, I'm going to say that the angle AFG here equals 55 degrees. AFG equals 55 degrees as angles on straight line add to 180 degrees. Then we're going to say, as the lines are the same, they, like this AFG and ACD are similar triangles, as we have parallel lines going through both of them, and they're at the same starting point. We know that ACD is 55 degrees. So what I'm going to write is ACD equals 55 degrees. I'm going to put corresponding angles due to similar triangles. ACD and AFG. That's a G. Therefore, angle DAC here is going to be 55 degrees, since angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to write that out for the examiner. So I'm going to say DAC equals 180 minus 70 minus 55, which equals 55 degrees, as angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. And since two angles equal in triangle ACD, then isosceles. Isosceles. Definitely can't spell isosceles today. By definition. There we go. Question 23. It takes 14 hours for 5 identical pumps to fill a water tank. How many hours would it take 4 of these pumps to fill a water tank of the same size? So what I'm going to say is 14 hours for 5 pumps. Therefore, for 1 pump, it will be 14 hours times 5. Is that my calculator? 70 hours. Therefore, for 4 pumps, it will be 70 hours divided by 4, which again I'm going to do on my calculator. Comes out at 17.5 hours. Question 24. A and B are numbers such that A equals 2 squared plus 3 to the 4 times 7, B equals 3 squared times 7 squared. Find the highest common factor of A and B. So we'll ignore the 2's because B doesn't have any 2's in it. So we basically want to find the most number of factors that multiply together out of the list we're given here that are in both. So we know that 3 squared is in both, and 7 is in both. Therefore, 3 squared times 7 is the highest common factor, which is 9 times 7, which is 63. So part B, find the lowest common multiple of A and B. So all we need to do for that is make sure we have combined the two breakdowns of the numbers up here. So we need to say lowest common multiple equals 2 squared times 3 to the 4, as 3 squared is in here already, times 7, but that doesn't bring in the 7 squared that's within B, so I'm going to do times 7 squared. 7's in here already, so all we're effectively doing is merging those two things at the top together, and to get the lowest one, we just need to consider the absolute minimum that have both of the prime factors in them. So I'm going to do this with my calculator. 2 squared, I'm just going to write it out, 4 times 3 to the power 4, which is 81, times 7 squared, which is 49. 4 times 81 times 49 in my calculator is 15876. That's our answer. So question 25. Lava flows from a volcano at a constant rate of 11.9 meters cubed per second. How many days does it take for that massive amount of lava to flow from the volcano? Give your answer correct to the nearest day. So 11.9 meters cubed per second is going to be the equivalent of 11.9 times 60 meters cubed per minute, which is going to be the equivalent of 11.9 times 60 times 60 meters cubed per hour, which is the equivalent of 11.9 times 60 times 60 times 24 meters cubed per day, which is the format that we want this to be in. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. 11.9 times 60 times 60 times 24 is 1028160 meters cubed per day. So if we now do 67,605, 600 divided by 1028160, we will get the number of days. So 67,205, 600, I'm just doing this on my calculator, divided by 1028160 is going to be 65.36492, etc., etc., etc. And they want it to the nearest day, so 65 days is the answer. Question 26. Here is a graph of y equals x squared minus 2x minus 2. Write down the coordinates of the turning point on the graph. That's just going to be here, where the graph turns, which is 1 minus 3. And part B, write down an estimate for one of the roots of x squared minus 2x minus 2 equals 0. Just one of the roots, so we might as well take the positive one then. So it's where the graph crosses the x-axis. So each square is going to be 0.2, as it's 5 squares per number. And that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 3.5 squares. So we're going to go for 2.7 as our answer. Question 27. A solid cuboid is made of metal. The metal has density of 9 grams per cubic centimeter. The volume of the cuboid is 72 centimeters cubed. Work out the mass of the cuboid. So, density equals mass over volume. So we'll rearrange this to be mass equals density multiplied by volume. And the units up here actually kind of give this away. So we want our answer to be in grams. And we have density in grams per centimeters cubed and the volume in centimeters cubed. So you'd be able to see that these two are going to cancel and you're just left with grams. It's in case the formula gets a little bit muddled and you get confused. You can always check back at the units. So mass is going to be 9 multiplied by 72, which I'll do on my calculator, 648 grams. Question 28. Right, 9 times 10 to the 4 compared to 4.5 times 10 to the 6 in the form 1 to the n, where n is an integer. So this is the same as saying 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, compared to 4, or 45, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The decimal point would be here, so that would be 6 places we've moved it. So let's just take out 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just say this is 9 compared to 450. 450 divided by 9 is just 50. So I'm going to write here n equals 50. It's not entirely clear how they want the answer here, so I'm going to write both. Part B. Write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. So they've been a bit funny with how they've written some of these numbers out. So this one here, I'm actually just going to write this in my calculator, as we might as well use a calculator while we've got it. So 5.625 times 10 to the power 4 is 56250. We know this one's 5625. 56250 times 10 to the power minus 3 is just 56.25. And 0.005625 times 10 to the power 5 is 562.5. You don't need to be afraid to use a calculator, seeing as we're given it, especially if you've got used to typing in multiplied by 10 to the power something. Makes life a lot easier. So smallest first will be this one. So we're going to have 56250 times 10 to the minus 3 first. Then this one, 0.005625 times 10 to the 5. Then this one, 5625, and then the last one. That's the final question. So hopefully, as usual, that was helpful. Let me know if there's any comments or questions and drop them below. And hopefully I will see you next time.